Welcome back to Mountain Connections. I am so excited and looking forward to talking to our next guest. We are thrilled to have Joan Tabb here, who is an author and a career coach and so many amazing titles. We are so excited to have you this morning. So Joan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and I'm always so delighted to be in Park City. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
We love it.
It's great. I'm here to ski. Here I am in my ski outfit.
I love it. What else would you do?
Exactly, exactly. Well, I'm delighted to be here, and I'm so happy to tell you that since I've last been on, I've been going around the country doing workshops and talking about building blocks for the new retirement, the new paradigm, because we baby boomers are living longer, living healthier, and there really isn't a blueprint for how to do it in a meaningful and fun way.
Definitely.
So I think you may know that actually I interviewed many Park City residents. I was looking for vital baby boomers a few years ago in preparation for the book, and many of the Park City people represent what I call the new retirement, which is revitlement.
I love that. I love that it's such an active term, revitlement.
Yes, when I interviewed people, I found out they didn't like the term retirement because it connotes being tired, being out of the mainstream, and these are vital, healthy people. So revitlement is the term that came to me. It has vitality in it, and I define that as after your primary career is over, but before true old age. We never had this period of life before. When Social Security was developed, the average age of dying was 59, and Social Security retirement started at 65. Now people are living into their 70s, 80s, and 90s and have a gift of time, but it can also be a curse of time if you don't know how to fill it.
Definitely. I know I've seen that problem. I work actually in Medicare, and so I see that time and time again, that I meet people that are in their retirement phase, and sometimes they're unhappy.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's hard.
Exactly. So I want to tell you, the people who come to my workshops, and I wanted to tell you a couple of stories and refer to a few of the building blocks in specific that we didn't get a chance to do last time. But people come to the workshops, they could do this book on their own. It's a workshop format of the 8 building blocks to consider, the strategies to consider, and then at the end of each chapter, you apply it to your life, and at the end, you put a plan together.
I love that. I love that it ends with a plan of action.
Yes. Well, I'm trained as a trainer, and so it's very practical, short, sweet, to the point, but it's from the inside out. You really reflect on your life, what your interests are, what your passions are, how you want to get involved with the world, and some blocks will apply to you more than others.
Perfect. Well, so what are some of these building blocks?
So some of the building blocks, I think the one that people have the most fun with in the workshops is, you see, it's a picture of a child. Well, I don't think you were a blonde child, but the first one is to go back to your original passions and interests. Who were you as a child? Because many times, as Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, said, our essence remains the same. So many times the interests and passions we had as children, they get away from us due to the pressures of life and the demands of life. But now that we have time ahead, let's go back to those early passions and interests and perhaps reignite them in the years that we have going ahead.
Fantastic. Bringing really back your youth.
Bringing back your youth. I mean, one woman who ended up becoming an engineer for practicality really loved reading and books. And in her revitlement, she ended up setting up a bookstore. And her son works there, and she's so happy to be surrounded by books and reading. So that was an example of that.
Perfect. What are some other blocks?
Yeah, another building block, and this is the one, actually, I interviewed a psychiatrist here in Park City who told me this was, to him, the most interesting one. This is a picture of some older folks, and it says growth. And it's the idea that your life force never retires. And it's really the psychological business of catch up. Many times there are issues that we really haven't worked at, or relationships that need to be looked at. This is the time of your life to make peace with that. This can be a little sensitive, though. I notice in workshops sometimes people get upset because it triggers things that are sad, but I many times have people do this chapter on their own. But it's very important to realize, and psychologists are realizing now, people are very open now to doing psychological exploration in the later stages of life, and it frees up energy and brings you peace and happiness to work through those issues.
Oh, what an important block.
Yeah, that's a really important one. Another one that's really fun is explore. And this is break out of your comfort zone, do some new things.
All the things you said you were going to do in retirement,
But
you can do it.
Exactly, but it's much more than a bucket list. What it is doing things in a whole new way. Like one couple who had always had short vacations when they had their, company jobs, but they loved to travel, but they'd go on organized, pre-planned trips. Well, now they had time, so they decided they were going to do it on their own. They actually enrolled in a local community college, learned Italian, learned how to set up their own trip, designed it in their own way. They met a lot more locals. So they do travel, but in their own time, in their own way. So it's
fantastic.
And the brain and the neurons start really pumping when you're doing brand new things, learning a new language, going into a new culture. It could be volunteering in a whole new way, and that's another building block that's so important, but I couldn't carry them all in my suitcase.
That is quite all right. I would love for you to tell us you are coming back this summer for an
last
event.
year when I was here, it was oversubscribed at the Park City Library, so they're putting me in the big community room because Park City folks really want to make the most of their life, and by learning this building block strategy and paradigm, they're doing that. So this year I'll be back June 26th. It's a Saturday.
Mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars, because I don't think they have people sign up in advance. You just come to the door. And I think we'll be able to accommodate maybe 50 people, which is wonderful.
That is wonderful.
I look forward to that. So do we have time for one little anecdote?
Sure, of course.
This was so much fun. People come to my classes who are usually between about 55 and 80. So this one woman introduces herself. She looked like she was 70, even 65. Turned out she was 89.
Wow.
And she said, my life has been very busy, and at 80 I became a grandmother for the first time, and then my son and his wife had twins. So the last 9 years I've been bringing up these kids, and I think I've done a good job, but I've been really, really busy. So I'm now 89, and I'm now ready for revitlement.
89, and she's ready for it. That is incredible.
Into every building block, and she's designing a whole new life. She even wants to move to a different part of the country on her own at 89.
Well, there you have it. I mean, you can be any age of revitlement. You can start revitlement at 55, all the way up 89 and beyond.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, Joan, you are a wealth of knowledge. I can tell that this is a great program, and we are so excited to have you back in Park City in June. Where can they get more information about the upcoming event?
The easiest way is to go to my website, joantabb.com. JOANTABB.com, or go to Park City Library. You have a fantastic library. I love libraries, and you have a great one. So you can go on their website or visit them live. And I know the librarian I work with, Kate Mapp, she sets out a huge table of all kinds of books on retirement. And I do want to add, I don't cover finances. That's an area I don't cover, but there are plenty of other resources, and at the library they have books on that too. And online, of course, you can find resources. But I cover all the things. Once you have the financial piece done, then come to my book.
Then we can focus on revitlement.
Exactly. You got it.
Perfect. Joan, thank you so much for being here this morning. Thanks for being on our show and bringing your wonderful energy. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Great to see you.
Of course. All right, you guys, much more to come on Mountain Connections today on this wonderful Friday. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after the break.